Hello all, in today's lecture we will do harmonic analysis of single phase full bridge rectifier. So when we discussed about the technical performance of HVAC and HVDC, we came across this particular point here, that a requirement of reactive power as a function of distance in HVAC, but in HVDC transmission line does not need reactive power. Only converters need reactive power at both the ends of HVDC line. So here we will prove that, in this lecture we will prove that these converters draw some reactive power when they convert AC to DC, right? In conversion of AC to DC, they draw some reactive power from the AC supply, but in transmission line, HVDC transmission line, only active power flows, no reactive power flows through the HVDC transmission line, right? Now coming back to our main board, let us say we have a full bridge converter. We have a full bridge converter here. Okay, so this is single phase full bridge rectifier, which is also called as two pulse converter. So on the AC side of this converter, we have connected a single phase supply. This is single phase supply here, and on DC side we have connected a resistive load with high inductance value. So a coil is connected. This coil inductance is very high, so that load current is ripple free. When we increase the inductance value, it doesn't allow the sudden change in current, so ripple free. So load current, we are assuming that the load current that flows through this load is ripple free. It is constant. It has some magnitude, but it is constant. It is not changing with respect to time. It is DC current, right? So we have some resistor also here and one inductor, and these are the thyristors T1, T2, T3, T4. This is T1, this is T2, T3 and T4, right? And at the input side we have source voltage. Vs is the source voltage and source current is Is, and the reference value direction of source current, we have taken this from left to right. This is the reference direction of source current. Okay, so with this reference direction of source current, we will plot the source current with respect to this source current reference direction, and this is the load current reference direction, and this is the load voltage polarity of output voltage. Now if we draw the waveforms of this converter for some alpha value here, so let us draw waveforms. We can easily understand how output voltage and current varies with respect to time. So I have some AC supply here with maximum value Vm, right? So this is the AC supply we have. Now let us say alpha is given at some 30 degree or 45 degree, any value you can take, and this is how output voltage varies with respect to time. This is how output voltage varies with respect to time. And one more important thing to note here, that since a large inductance is connected at the output side, this will not allow sudden change in output current. So since current is not changing and it is continuous current, So all the thyristors will continuously conduct in first mode. I mean T1 and T2 will continuously conduct in the first mode till this point. This point is pi plus alpha, this instant. Okay, so this instant is pi plus alpha, this is 2 pi, and this is alpha from this reference axis, and this axis is omega t axis, not time axis. So we are changing this in radians or degrees, any we can take, right? So this is how output voltage varies with respect to time, with respect to this omega t axis. This is the output voltage. Now if we draw the output current waveform here, output current starts from 0, and since the large inductance doesn't allow the change in output current, so it is almost constant. So we are assuming that it is almost constant. So this is the magnitude of output current. So we have plotted both current and voltage waveforms here. This is output voltage with respect to omega t axis, this is output current, right? So this is how output voltage and current changes with respect to time or with respect to omega t axis. Now if you calculate output voltage, DC output voltage, it is 2 Vm by pi cos alpha for continuous conduction for full wave rectifier. This and all I am assuming that you already know how to calculate average voltage, or else you can integrate this from 0 to 2 pi, then V output with respect to V output omega t with respect to d omega t. You will get the same. V output will follow the supply voltage Vm sin omega t for 0 to for alpha to pi plus alpha, and it will follow minus Vm sin omega t from alpha pi plus alpha to 2 pi plus alpha up to this instant. So you can calculate, you will get this. Now if you draw source current waveform here, if you draw the source current waveform by extending this, so these are all points we have extended this axis for drawing source current waveform here. Now this is alpha, this is pi plus alpha, this is again 2 pi plus alpha, and so on 3 pi plus alpha. All these we have. We know that when T1 and T2 conducts during the positive half cycle, when T1 and T2 conducts, this is the current path. This is how current flows through the source and load, right? This is the current path when T1 T2 conducts. Now if we consider this source current direction as the reference direction, with respect to this direction the load current magnitude direction is also same. I0 direction is this downwards. So if this is the load current direction positive, the source current will also be positive for this duration in which T1 and T2 are conducting. So for this duration when T1 and T2 are conducting, this is the source current, and the magnitude of source current is equals to the magnitude of load current, right? So the magnitude of source current is equals to magnitude of load current here, I0, and T1 T2 are conducting here. So this is what this we are drawing IS, source current waveform. Now if we consider second cycle in which T2 and T3 and T4 are conducting, in second cycle when T3 and T4 conducts, we can analyze for this case also. Okay, this is the reference source. So when T3 T4 conducts, current starts from the negative terminal of the source. It will first go to flow through T3 and it will enter the load. After this it will complete its path through T4. So this we will erase here. This is T2 again. T2. It will complete its path through T4 and it will again enter the source. So this is how current flows in the second mode of conduction. So you can see this source current magnitude is again equals to the load current, but the direction of source current is opposite to the load current. With respect to this reference direction, source current direction is opposite. So here we can draw again this source current. This is pi, this is pi plus alpha, this is 2 pi plus alpha. So in this duration T3 and T4 conducts, and so on. If we again plot the remaining portion of the source current, it will look like this. And if we consider from the beginning, let us say this process is continuous. So this is how your source current waveform looks like. So now we have understood how source current flows through the load, and the source current, how it follows the load current, how it becomes the DC current, behaves like DC current, right? So one conclusion can be drawn from this: if we directly connect this source to the load, both output voltage and output current follows the sinusoidal wave. If we draw the output for this case, output current will follow the output voltage. Both are sinusoidal. Input voltage is also sinusoidal. This is output voltage, this is input voltage. But when we connect source voltage to the load voltage through a converter, which is full bridge converter, when we connect it through full bridge converter, this is full bridge converter, just block diagram representation I am showing here. Then what we observe is this source current is no longer sinusoidal. Load current is DC, okay, because it is converting AC to DC here, but source current is no longer sinusoidal. It is a square wave. Okay, source current is a square wave. So what happens when we connect pure sinusoidal voltage to some resistive load or RL load through a converter? The source current is distorted, right? If we directly connect, it is not distorted. It remains same. It remains sinusoidal. But when we connect it through some converter or rectifier, it becomes a square wave. Now what is the disadvantage of this? To this source, some other loads are also connected in parallel. So these loads will also have this non-sinusoidal current. Okay, so if you connect the converter, the current that flows through other loads will also be non-sinusoidal square wave. Now other loads only need sinusoidal current, they do not need non-sinusoidal or square wave current. So square wave current will produce so much heat in these loads, AC loads, which are connected to the AC side, which is undesirable, right? So these loads which are connected in parallel will draw this current, non-sinusoidal current, and produce heat. In case of three-phase supply, it is even more severe, because when three-phase supply is connected to some induction motor and at the same time it is converting AC to DC, the source current is non-sinusoidal. In that case, non-sinusoidal source current will produce this pulsating torque in induction motors which are connected to the source side. Now since we have understood the source current is non-sinusoidal, let us find the harmonic content in source current. Harmonic content in source current this is how source current varies. The maximum magnitude is I naught minus I naught. Okay, so this is how it varies. According to the Fourier series, any non-sinusoidal waveform can be converted, any non-sinusoidal waveform can be represented as a sum of infinite sinusoidal waveforms, sum of infinite sinusoidal waveforms which has different frequencies. So any non-sinusoidal waveform can be represented as a sum of different sinusoidal waveforms having different frequencies. So all these sinusoidal waveforms, likewise we have infinite sinusoidal waveforms. Okay, so this is what 50 Hertz waveform, this is 150 Hertz, supply is 50 Hertz, so this is 50 Hertz, and this will be 250 Hertz. We will discuss why we don't have 200 Hertz, 100 Hertz or 300 Hertz and so on, right? So any waveform can be represented as a sum of sinusoids. Any non-sinusoidal waveform can be represented like this, right? So if you do Fourier series analysis of this waveform, which is non-sinusoidal source current waveform of the full bridge converter, if you do the harmonic analysis of this, we know that we can represent Fourier series in the equation form. So this is the source current. Let us say I am representing source current as sum of its average value, then sigma n equals to 1 2 3 till infinite an cos n omega t plus sigma n 1 2 3 4 up to infinite bn sin n omega t, right? While looking at this waveform, we can directly conclude that this waveform follows odd symmetry. This waveform follows odd symmetry. This waveform follows odd symmetry as well as half wave symmetry. So any waveform, when it follows odd symmetry, means if ft equals to minus of minus ft and ft is also equals to minus of f of t plus and t by 2, where t is the, this t naught is the time period of the waveform, so this is the half wave symmetry and this is the odd symmetry. If any waveform follows these two equation, satisfies these two equation, then that waveform will have only sine components. So cosine components will be 0 for that waveform. Cosine components will be 0 for that waveform, and average value will also be 0. So it will only have bn components. So it will have bn components, sine components, and that too odd components of sine wave, odd components of sine wave, right? So if you calculate bn, by using this formula 0 to 2 t naught, t naught is again the time period of the waveform, then ft, which is is here, this ft is is here, is t multiplied with sine and omega t, this is also omega t, this is omega t axis, so it is varying with respect to omega t, and d omega t. If you integrate this, you will get what you will get. I will erase this. If you integrate this equation for bn, if you integrate, you will get bn as 4 I naught y and pi. So this is what bn value is. So now if we again write the previous equation of is t, a naught is 0, then n equals to 135. Why I am taking 135 only odd values? Because of half wave symmetricity, it is having only odd values till infinite. 4 I naught upon n pi, this is bn, and sine and omega t. This is what I have, sine and omega t plus phi n. Phi n is also there, some phase shifting is also there with respect to supply voltage. Why? Because supply voltage is starting from omega equals to 0 and our output voltage is starting from alpha. Okay, so that's why this shifting is also added here. This shifting in the waveform is also added here, where phi n is minus n alpha. N is the number of the n is n represents the harmonic value. If n equals to 1, it is fundamental 50 Hertz, 3 means third harmonic, 5 means fifth harmonic. Now let us further analyze this and try to get the conclusion how this non-sinusoidal waveform affects the supply. Okay, now since we have written this, if you further expand this, you can write it as 4 I naught, put n equals to 1, what we get is this omega t plus phi 1. Okay, phi 1 plus 4 I naught upon 3 pi sine 3 omega t plus phi 3 plus 4 I naught upon 5 pi sine 5 omega t plus 5 here. So and so on. We have other components like 7 omega t, 9 omega t, then 11 omega t, 13 and so on. So in this, if we can represent this waveform, this square waveform of source current is now represented as a sum of fundamental. As a sum of fundamental means this waveform will have some fundamental sinusoidal voltage, third harmonic 3 omega t component, so it will have 3 omega t component also in it, right? It will have fifth harmonic, so 5 omega t component is also there, so 5 omega t component is also there. 5 omega t component will complete 5 cycles for the one cycle of omega t. So this will complete 5 cycles for the one cycle of fundamental. So likewise we have 7 omega t, 9 omega t and so on. So if you add up all these waveforms which I have represented, all sinusoidal, you will get this square wave. So this is how this Fourier series will get us different harmonic components, right? Separately we have different harmonic components. Now out of this out of this source waveform, this part, this whole part from 3 omega t, 5 omega t to infinite, these are all harmonics. These are all called harmonics, and this part which is 50 Hertz component is called fundamental. So these are unwanted currents that will cause the overheating of the other loads that are connected to the AC side, and if it is three-phase supply, it will produce the pulsating torque in the induction motor. So life of the induction motor reduces when these harmonics enters the induction motor. Only this is useful. So now we are defining one term which will give us the percentage of harmonics in terms of fundamental. So that term is called as total harmonic distortion, THD. Total harmonic distortion is, again I will write here, this total harmonic distortion is ratio of TSD is the ratio of RMS value of all harmonics divided by RMS value of fundamental. So RMS value of fundamental we can directly find from this. This is the maximum fundamental value, because if you take this alone if you take this is IS1, which is Im1 sine omega t plus phi 1. So this is the maximum magnitude. So how to find RMS for sinusoidal wave if we know the maximum? So IS1 RMS is maximum, which is 4 I naught by pi multiplied by root 2. So you will get 2 root 2 by pi I naught. So this is the source current, fundamental current. This is fundamental current RMS value, right? Now if you apply this formula and get actual value of TSD in some number, if you get the number of TSD for single phase full bridge rectifier, for which we need this numerator value and denominator. Numerator we calculated here. Okay, this is the numerator, RMS value of fundamental is 50 Hz component. Now we need to calculate the RMS value of all the harmonics. Okay, we need to calculate, this is source current, sum of IS1, IS3, IS5, IS7 and so on. So we need to calculate total RMS value of all these unwanted components, which is difficult because we do not know. We will not be calculating up to the infinite, IS infinite, right? So there is one way to calculate this RMS value of all these components, right? So since one more thing you can understand from these currents, harmonic currents, all these harmonic currents are orthogonal to each other. Orthogonal means orthogonal to each other. Orthogonal means if you multiply two sinusoids of different frequency sine waves, if you multiply and if you take the average, if you take this average, if you take integration from 0 to t, and if you multiply two harmonics, different frequency components, if you do this analysis 0 to t, f1t, f2t, if you calculate this value you will get 0. If you put f1t omega t, f2t 3 omega t, so different frequency sinusoidal waves are orthogonal to each other. And if we have two different functions which are orthogonal to each other, the RMS value of two functions, the total RMS value of two functions can be represented like this: first RMS value square plus second RMS value square. So total RMS of value of two functions, total RMS value of two sinusoidal functions will be under root of first value square plus second value square. This is how we calculate the total RMS if two sinusoidal waveforms are orthogonal to each other. And we know sinusoidal waveforms of different frequency are indeed orthogonal to each other. So likewise, if we find RMS value of all these components, we can write this RMS, this numerator we can get RMS of harmonics. It is under root of IS1 RMS square plus IS3 RMS square plus IS7 RMS square. This is how we calculate RMS value of all these components, right? Now this is also unknown to us because we will not go till infinite and find all the RMS values. This is also unknown to us because it goes up to infinite, right? Up to infinite, right? Now if if we somehow know total RMS value of source current, total RMS value of source current, we know source current varies like this. Source current is a square wave, and if you calculate source current RMS value of any square wave, it is equals to its maximum value. You can also apply the formula for RMS value here. You can apply the formula for RMS value here, 1 upon T 0 to T under root of 1 upon T 0 to T IS whole square dt. If you do this analysis, you will get I naught. So any square wave RMS value is its maximum value. Maximum value is I naught. So we know total RMS of whole source current value. We also, what we do not know RMS of harmonics. We also know, here you modify this starts from 3, 5, 7. Okay, fundamental is not included here because RMS harmonics, when we are finding, we should start from RMS third harmonic, fifth harmonic, seventh harmonic, and so on till infinite. Now since we cannot find this, we will not go to the infinite. Total RMS value can also be represented as IS1 square plus IS1 RMS square IS3 RMS square, because we know all sinusoids are orthogonal to each other. So we can write this is 7, and so on till infinite, right? So this we can write now. This we can write. Total RMS is this. Total RMS value is this. This is the total RMS. Now if you take square on both sides, it is modified as RMS square IS3 RMS square plus IS7 RMS square plus IS9 square, and so on till infinite. Now I am taking this here IS1 to the left side, right? So, and I am taking, if I take to the left side, I get this equation. This is fifth, this is seventh. IS5 RMS square plus IS7 RMS square, and so on. So this is what I get finally. I cannot calculate this RMS value of harmonics, but I can calculate this from output RMS, from source RMS. I got this value. Both the sides, if you take under root, if you square root, if you take both the sides, then this value is equals to this value. You can see we were having difficulty in finding the source, numerator. Now numerator can also be represented as the under root of IS square, total RMS value of the source current, minus fundamental RMS value, right? So these two are equal. So now if we modify, if we put these two values in the TSD equation, so now TSD, what we have TSD here, RMS value of all harmonics. Now we have got all harmonics in terms of total harmonic, total RMS minus fundamental RMS, and divided by RMS value of fundamental. This is already known, RMS value of fundamental, right? If you further modify this, you will get this ISR total RMS IS1 square divided by IS1. This is only IS1 here, IS1 square, right? RMS. Further modification of this equation will get us the final value of TSD. So final value of TSD we can find here. TSD from this equation is under root of ISR, which is total RMS, divided by IS1 RMS, total source RMS, divided by fundamental source RMS square minus 1. So this is the TSD. We got the TSD at this. Further modification of this will get us this equation, 1 by G whole square minus 1. where this G is distortion factor, and from this you can write G ISR, IS1R by ISR. G is the distortion factor. It is the ratio of fundamental RMS to the source RMS, ratio of fundamental RMS to the source RMS. So if we know any waveform's total RMS value and its fundamental RMS value, we can find its TST value, right? We can find its TST value. So we initially had this as source current. This was our source current with maximum value of I0. We calculated RMS value of fundamental. Also we got 2 root 2 I0 by pi. Okay, we got 2 root 2 I0 by pi, and total source RMS, fundamental RMS, we got this after Fourier series analysis. Total source RMS also we know I0. So if you calculate G here, G is this divided by this 2 root 2 I0 by pi divided by I0. This is what G is. This value will get 0.9 around. G is 0.9003. You can assume it to be 0.9. Now if you replace this G value here in the TSD equation, G value if you replace here in the TSD equation, you will get TSD value as this. TSD value as, if you replace here 0.9 whole square minus 1 the root, you will get 0.48%. In percentage it is 48% around. Some decimal values are also there, so 48%. So what does it mean? If you convert AC to DC using the single phase full wave rectifier, the source current becomes non-sinusoidal, and the percentage of harmonics with respect to fundamental component, 50 Hz component, is 48%. Means 48% are the harmonics in the source current with respect to the fundamental component. So this is the conclusion here. Now from this, if we want to find the power factor, why we are interested in power factor? Our main objective is to find the reactive power consumed by the converter. Okay, when sinusoidal AC voltage is connected to the load through converter, we know that source current is no longer sinusoidal, it has some harmonics. We have calculated the percentage of harmonics by using the parameter TSD. Now we want to know how much reactive power is consumed via the converter for converting AC to DC. How much reactive power is consumed. And we know one more thing, before finding the reactive power we should know the power factor. So one term is defined here, fundamental power factor. Fundamental power factor is multiplication of distortion factor, which we have just now calculated, distortion factor, and displacement factor. When we consider pure sinusoidal current and voltages, we calculate power factor by just displacement factor, but here the source current is distorted, so power factor formula is modified. Now we only calculate the displacement factor when we consider both sinusoidal voltage and currents. Means we calculate cos of phi. Phi is the angle between displacement between voltage and current, but here since the source current is distorted, we are also multiplying it by the distortion factor, which is G here. This G is distortion factor, we calculated, and displacement factor is cos of that minus phi n, which we represented in Fourier series equation, cos of minus n alpha, where n equals to 1 because we are finding fundamental power factor So n equals to 1, so it is cos of minus alpha here for n equals to 1, because that's why it is called fundamental power factor. Here we are interested to find the power factor of the 50 Hertz current. Okay, indirectly the angle between 50 Hertz voltage and the 50 Hertz source current, right? So that's why n equals to 1 we are putting here. So this is what displacement factor. So if you put these two values in the power factor, fundamental power factor equation, if you put these two values, fundamental power factor equation is distortion factor. Distortion factor we have calculated G multiplied by displacement factor, cos minus alpha is alpha. So G we got as 0.9 and cos alpha is cos alpha. This alpha is the triggering angle. Okay, for a thyristor this alpha varies from 0 to 90 degree, right? So this is the triggering angle. So power factor for single phase full bridge converter can be written like this finally, fundamental power factor. So if we directly know alpha value, we can find the power factor, and from this power factor we can also find the reactive power consumed by the thyristor. How can we do that? Here we can understand. Suppose that alpha value we have taken as 30 degree. Alpha value is 30 degree. Let us say 30 degree alpha value we have taken. So fundamental power factor is 0.9 into cos 30, which is 0.9 into 0.866. So this multiplication you will get as, this multiplication you will get 0.779. 0.9 multiplied by 0.866 will be 0.79. So this is the power factor of the source current. Means when you connect converter and convert AC to DC, this is the supply voltage and this is the supply voltage of 50 Hertz Vin. Then the fundamental source current is not actually sinusoidal, but the 50 Hertz part of that source current will lag the voltage, supply voltage, 50 Hertz voltage. These two are 50 Hertz. Note down here, this is 50 Hertz. Why I am stressing 50 Hertz here? Because the source current is actually square wave. We have done this Fourier series analysis and calculated fundamental part of it. So power factor 0.8 cos phi. If cos phi is 0.8 means we know that the phi angle will be around 36.86. So this is 36.86 degree. So this is how fundamental source voltage lags the supply voltage by 36.86 for alpha value of 30 degree. And if we know source, let us say source voltage, single phase voltage value is 250 volt and the source current value is, voltage value is this, source current value is 5 ampere. We can find the total active power consumed by the converter from this. How to find? 250 into Vi cos phi, 250 into 5 into 0.779. This will get you the active power consumed by the converter, and this active power is equals to the output power. If you assume that converter losses are 0, so in case of RL load, this is the power consumed by the resistor connected at the output side, and reactive power can also be calculated. 250 into 5, 0.8 cos phi. If cos phi is 0.8 means sin phi will be 0.6 around. So this also you can calculate. So both active and reactive power consumed by the converter can be calculated. So what we have understood in this lecture is, when we convert AC to DC, even if load does not demand the reactive power, the converter which is converting AC to DC will demand some reactive power from the source, right? Load demands only active power. Resistive load, purely resistive load, RL load is connected, out of which only resistance will consume the active power. In case of DC, L behaves as a short circuit in steady state, so only active power is consumed by the load. But in this conversion, converter will consume some reactive power which is which can be calculated by this, right? So we will stop today's lecture here.